Hello and welcome to this nighttime. It's still dark. Might be daylight where you live if you live on the East Coast. Taste challenge. I have two 40% alcohol blended Irish whiskeys. This is Black Bush, Bushmill's Black Bush, introduced in 1980. Uh, it's aged 8 years in ex-oloroso sherry casks. So they chose to age in sherry barrels. Gives it a unique flavor. And what's special, another special thing about this one is that it is 80% single malt whiskey and 20% grain whiskey. Whereas most of these blended whiskeys is the opposite. It'll usually be 80% grain whiskey, which is not much, there's not much flavor with that. That's just the base. And then the flavor is going to come from the 20% single malt that they blend in. But in this case, they flipped it. They did the reverse. It gives it a much more elaborate flavor. Now, this is O'Neill's, which is 67% grain whiskey and 33% single malt. So it does have a higher level of single malt than typical for blended whiskeys. So like 2/3 grain and 1/3 single malt. Let me update that. I didn't put that in there in the notes. And there's no website to show you for that one, so I can't link it. 67% grain whiskeys. Whiskeys was probably more than one. And 33%, single malt whiskeys, aged 5 years in first fill bourbon barrels, aged 5 years in first fill bourbon barrels, and finished in double charred oak. And that's what's going to give it the unique flavor that it has. Some people might consider it kind of a harsh flavor. I think it's a little bit of a bitey character, but didn't want to focus. But it's good. Just bites back a little bit. There it goes. See, they're both black and gold labels. With the Bushmill has a little red trim. Now, take the little foil cap off. The Bushmills moisturize the cork. Yes, it uses a cork. It's not like regular Bushmills, which is just a twist cap. I'm going to keep the cork moisturized because I've had problems in the past where they dry rot. Then you got a real project on your hands. There's the cork. Dealing with that. Okay. I've done 4 taste challenges already. Jameson, Bushmill's Original, Patty's. What was the other one? Teeling. Not Teeling. Tullamore DEW. I got it wrong once, and I was shocked because I got it mixed up with Patty's. Couldn't get over that. Still can't get over it. All right, let me go. There's a little dust on it. Not much. There's no age statement on the bottle, but the website before they reformatted it used to say aged 8 years in the Oloroso sherry cask. Now, when they updated the website, I don't think they show that anymore. And could it be the case that they cut back on the aging? It could have happened. They might have cut down on a number of years because they did that with Jim Beam Black. Used to say age 8 years. Then all of a sudden it was just extra aged. And then I think maybe some people were complaining about it. And then now it's saying 7. So the Bushmill's Black is a little darker. And I guess they got the concept sort of from like Johnny Walker Black, which is an extra aged Johnny Walker, age 12 years. So then, you know, a lot of these companies will do that nowadays. Crown Royal Black, Bushmill's Black Bush, Johnny Walker. Jim Beam Black. And usually when they say the black, it's an extra age. An exceptionally high amount of malt whiskey with a lighter grain whiskey, then matured in former Oloroso sherry casks and bourbon casks. Yeah, I don't remember them bourbon casks in the old website because they redid their website. So I'm thinking this. What you get now, maybe over the last year, might not be 8 years. And they're not giving a percentage. You notice not saying 80-20 anymore. They're just saying a high amount of malt. Well, it got last year gold in the United States. And it got blended Irish whiskey of the year in 2024 in the USA Spirits rating. So it's well liked. But yeah, I get the impression, and I'm not going to write down and ask because it's not that important, but I get the impression it might have cut it back a little bit. They've done that in the United Kingdom because Northern Ireland is a province of the United Kingdom. Ireland is not part of the Irish Republic, where the O'Neill's is made in the Irish Republic. That part of Ireland, that big part of the majority of Ireland has their own president. And that one of those countries that's cut into political units, like Korea, Virginia, which was cut into Virginia and West Virginia, split up. The Dakota Territory was considered too big, right? So they split it into North and South Dakota. Carolina, same thing, split it to North and South Carolina. But at one time it was a single unit. Sudan and South Sudan, another split. Cyprus, Northern Cyprus, under Turkey's protectorate of Turkey, claiming to be an independent country but not recognized by any other country. Plus the 2 British territories, sovereign base areas. So there's 2 British territories in Cyprus. So I guess you could say it's cut into 4 political units. Cyprus Republic with their own president, the Turkish Republic of Cyprus with their own president, and the 2 British territories with King Charles, as their ultimate head. But they have a military governor. Interestingly, it's ruled by the British Department of Defense, or there's some guy. If you look at the UK website, it's like Admiral somebody in charge. Carlo Pomerigio. Carlo Pomerigio. Good morning. Good early morning from St. George, Louisiana. Oh, good morning to you, fellow Louisianian. Pomerigio. Okay. But the point I was making about the United Kingdom, they have been cutting back on stuff over there with their beer, like Budweiser. It went from, it was always like, it was 5, and then it went to 4.8 because of this tax. If anything was 5 or above, they had this high tax. Then it went to 4.5, and Stella Artois went to 4 something. If you get Boddingtons in the United States, it's 4.6. If you get Boddingtons in England, it's like 3.8 to 4. So depending on the batch or the configuration. So they have scaled back a lot of their stuff, unfortunately. Heinz canned beans used to have 378 beans. Now they have 376. Nah, I don't know. I'm just joking now. All right. So it could have been a tax issue. I know I had firsthand information about taxes when I went to the Jack Daniels distillery tour. The man explained why they didn't put an age statement on the bottle. He was telling us, well, it is aged 4 years, but we can't put it on the bottle because you have to pay a tax. If it's like a special age tax, I don't know what he was talking about, but he said that's why they don't do it. And you notice Jim Beam doesn't put it on their bottle. Nowhere on the bottle does it say Jim Beam aged 4 years, but the website says Jim Beam's aged 2 years longer than required for a straight whiskey, which is 2 years for a straight whiskey. But that bourbon is 4 years. So if this pattern is showing itself, there's got to be a legitimate thing on that. It's probably a true story. Remember the Beatles song Tax Man? They'll tax your feet. If you take a walk, they'll tax your feet. And if you, what they say, tax the air or something. All right. The Beatles were shocked by the amount of taxes they had to pay, income tax. George Harrison's particularly aggravated with that. John Lennon was so aggravated he moved to the United States to get away from the taxes, but that didn't work out so well after 7 years, did it? But you never know, dangerous New York City, But it was a guy from Hawaii. He went to New York City. I can't blame New York City for that, though, right? Okay, but anyway, their problem might have been more with their management. That's why they never had money. They were like, we're the biggest rock group in the world, and we don't have money. It's really strange. Go to a restaurant, nobody got cash to buy to buy the food, to pay for the food. Big dinner party, and the waiters are waiting like, where's the money? George Harrison had some cash rolled up in his shoe, at the bottom of his shoe, and he paid for it. I read that in that book, Shout, The Beatles in Their Time. I heard Canadian whiskey companies are going to move to the U.S. now. Really? Well, it's all a big thing, like a tax dodge, like Bacardi rum is made in Puerto Rico, and that's where their factory is. And I went to the factory, but their headquarters is in Hamilton, Bermuda, British Bermuda Islands. And supposedly that's a tax haven, like that's bringing business there. It's owned by the United Kingdom, but it's a separate country. They got separate tax, structure, like the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands had to crack down on that, though, because that was an ask no questions deposit area. People would deposit money in the banks at no questions that, but there was a lot of money laundering and drug business there. But those territories are not like Puerto Rico, where they're citizens and they can just move to the United States. Like if you were going from Texas to Louisiana, I went to Puerto Rico, didn't have a passport, didn't need it. It's no customs, no checking in like that. I can move to Puerto Rico now that I don't have to get permission or any kind of special immigration status. I just move there like if I'm moving to Texas. But if you live in the Cayman Islands or the British Bermuda Islands, so forth, you're a citizen, but they call it a territorial citizen, and you can't just move to England. You have to have special permission. You have to fill out all these forms. I'm sure the paperwork's a nightmare. I was reading that on the UK website. You can't just move here. And when I went to Gibraltar, they have their own money, Gibraltar money. Had the Queen's picture on it and all that. I guess they had to change it now to King Charles, but you can't use that money in England. It's only for Gibraltar, but it's printed in England. This is crazy, huh? Crown Royal specifically is moving to the United States. Whoa. But isn't their headquarters in Norwalk, Connecticut anyway? Diageo's North American operations headquarters. But yeah, okay. And then there's a third class called Commonwealth citizen. Like you're a citizen of the Bahamas, but you're also a Commonwealth citizen. And that's really complicated to figure that one out. Huh. Smells like grain. Honey, little honey, but just smell like cereal grain, which is like people say bread, beer is liquid bread. And you may as well say whiskey is liquid bread. It's made from grain and bread is made from grain. It's the same concept. Yeast ferments, right? Bake it in the oven, bread, yeast ferments. Now you have the beer. And you can go with hops that avenue and you make beer, lager, ale, or ale. Or you can go the other avenue and you can distill the beer and make the whiskey. Okay. This has that peaty note. Now, I know somebody's eventually going to say, you're mad, you're nuts. You need to do something else besides reviews because everybody knows Irish whiskey is not peaty. Well, everybody might know that, but I know what I'm smelling and I know what peat smells like. It's got like that compost pile. And that makes sense if you find out what peat is, smell to it. And this one has that. Don't know why. Is there a law against using peated malt in Irish whiskey? No, there is not. It's just tradition. In Scotland, some of the distilleries, depending on the area, traditionally use a peated malt. In Ireland, they typically do not. But it's no law. It's up to the distiller. Taste time. So right now, I think I know what it is. Which is which? I got to put my finger over that label because if I see I have letters underneath, and if I see the letter, I can see the video. I'm looking at it like you are, and I can see the letter. I'm gonna know what it is. Blackbush. Oh yeah. Does the sherry cask make a difference? Yeah, I think it makes a difference. That's a wine. A fortified wine, what they call dessert wine, very popular in England with Bristol's Harvey's Bristol cream. That's what it's called, Harvey's Bristol cream. We can get it here. Very good stuff. In America, sherry, some people buy it mostly for cooking, but some people sip it. Usually like old people. I don't think the young crowd is into sherry, but that might start a new thing next month. Everybody's drinking sherry. They had that big thing about 5 years ago. Remember, everybody wanted to drink Taylor port, make TikTok videos with it. And then talking about, I got so sick. I guess you did get sick. You drank a glass this big of 16% or 18%. Yeah, 18% alcohol wine. Yeah, I'm sure you did feel sick. And it's rich and full of sugar. And then they came out with Taylor Port Black, 20%. Oh, I tried it. It's very good. But I said, you drink a bunch of that, you just asking for trouble. I mean, use your brain. Have you heard the news that's in the spring of 2026, Alberta? Oh, come on. Now you put me on. Alberta and Saskatchewan will vote to secede from Canada. I think you put me on now. This has a little bit of that kind of bite back and the peatiness, and it's rich flavor. It's a rich flavor. It's not like typical Irish whiskey. But I said that with Paddy's, I couldn't tell it apart. But that's kind of bitey. Irish whiskey is usually not bitey. It's real smooth. Some people say it's dull. It's not. They'll say it's not that it's smooth. It's just bland. I don't really agree with that. It just has a unique kind of demure flavor, character. Even if they did vote to secede, it wouldn't be legal. They couldn't do it. They would have to amend the whole Constitution of Canada. So really, the reality of that would be unrealistic. Plus, it's not like the United States where the states created the country. In Canada, is the opposite. The country created the provinces. Alberta and Saskatchewan were created out of the Northwest Territories. As people moved out there, they would split a piece off and make it a state, just like Louisiana Territory. They split off areas and made new states: Arkansas, Missouri, Iowa, Minnesota, and Nebraska, and so forth. All right. But they were given equal status. You know, they learned that lesson early on. They said, don't make the states a colony, because then they're going to rise up. Got to make them equal partners with all the rights of the original 13, because they'll cause all kind of resentment and everything, which it would. So they just said equal 13, then equal 14, Kentucky equal 15, Vermont equal 16, and so forth. Equal Alaska, Hawaii. Puerto Rico, they could become a state. They don't want to. All right. They could become independent. They don't want to do that either. Okay. Seriously, I subscribe to several Albertan YouTube channels, and they are serious about it. Okay. Well, let's remember, anything can happen. Don't ever say it can't happen, because if you'd have told me 40 years ago the Soviet Union is going to break apart in 6 years, I'd have said, you're crazy, you know. And everybody else would have said, you're crazy. But look what happened. I remember in 1982, my history teacher, civics teacher, that was civics in 82, he said, I don't know why we were talking about Yugoslavia. I don't know what it had to do with civics, but it's something to do with it. And he said, well, that guy Tito's dead now. He died of what, 1980? He said that's going to break apart. He said he was the only thing holding that place together. And the history teacher said that country's going to break apart because there's too many ethnic groups that don't like each other. And I thought, what is he talking about? 'Cause I didn't know anything about Yugoslavia. And he was right, because in 1991, it started to crumble apart. So never say never, huh? I'm calling this the Black Bush. Is it a better product? Yes, I do believe so. O'Neill's right now at Total Wine & More, they're running a deal, $14.99 for this bottle. I think I paid $15.99. But $14.99 for a full-size bottle of Irish whiskey, no joke. And that's including all the shipping, all the import taxes, everything, and it's still $14.99. That's the deal. And it's good. It's not like, oh, I bet it's nasty. I mean, you know, you would naturally think that. I did too. But it's a good product. Now, I'm not saying it's up to the Black Bush level. That's hard to beat. Now, you're not gonna find that less than probably about, I guess you're gonna probably pay about $30. They might have somebody running it for $28, but I doubt it. I could check. Let's check Total Wine & More, see what they got it for. I think I paid $28 many years ago. You can see them down on it. But it was a little pricier than, well, it's naturally going to be a little pricier because it's a higher grade product. Black Bush. Yep, I was right. $39.99. You do better buying the handle, because it's going to be $69.99. So you're going to get an extra 1,000 milliliters plus the regular size bottle. And you're going to get it and it's not double the price. It's $10 less than double. So it's much better value if you get the handle. That's almost always the case. Not always the case, but almost always the case. Assuming you like the product. Now, you say, what if I buy a handle and I don't like it? Then I'm stuck with it. Yeah, that's true. Better to do a sample and try it. Say, oh, I love this. But if you know you're going to drink it, you say, I love this whiskey. I know I'm going to drink it. I'm never going to get tired of it. Well, yeah, buy the handle. I bought the handle of Johnny Walker Red Label. It's a lot cheaper per ounce buying the handle. I bought the handle of Crown Royal because I like it and I can always use it in taste challenges. It's a prototypical Canadian whiskey. It's the most popular whiskey in North America. So, of course, I bought it. It's $44.99 with 2 glass. It was in gift packs they put out at Christmas with the 2 beautiful glasses. $44.99. And I'm paying $23.99 for a regular bottle. I don't think so. I don't think I'm buying the handle. O'Neill's. Man, maybe I just screwed up. But obviously I did on the patties thing. I don't know what happened. I was careful with the labels, so I don't know what happened there. But so right now I'm 4 wins, 1 loss. Is that right? 4-1, yeah. I have the feeling down inside. Oh yeah, like the Beatles. I have a feeling that everybody had a good year. No, I have a feeling that I will get O'Neill's correct the rest of this challenge series. Time will tell. Because I've got Teeling coming up, small batch. I ain't going to confuse it with Teeling. That's finishing rum barrels, and it's stronger. I've got Kavanaugh, Duhans, Drumcastle, the Busker single grain, which I would not recommend that. Yeah, I can't see confusing those. I can't. I got the Bushmill's Red Bush, aged in ex-bourbon barrel. That was their kind of like bourbon style Irish whiskey, no longer produced, but my friend found it. He found it. They had a store selling it for $9.99. That's amazing. When they got rid of it, they got rid of it. But here's Walmart selling it for the full price. Still, it's been out of production for a year. Walmart still got it for the full price. Red Bush on the shelf. Oh, you can find a great deal at Walmart if you go there. Like Johnny Walker High Rye. I don't think people like that one too much, but that one, see, that's like rye whiskey, 60% rye. So it's not going to taste like regular Scotch whiskey because it's rye Scotch whiskey. It's still Scotch whiskey and it's made in Scotland, and it's still blended whiskey, but it's rye, right? And so I think it throws people. I think rye whiskey in general throws a lot of people, but I love it. Now, to me, they did a great job with it. But I think a lot of people see that on the shelf and they think, what is that weird thing? And they don't buy it. And Walmart's got it for $20.27. For the longest, it was $19.99. And then I got it 27. It went up a few cents. $20.20. I don't know why. Where did they come up with this price? $20.27. That's kind of strange. But man, they got so much of it over there. There's bottles and bottles and bottles. It must be 3 cases of it. 36 bottles. I can't get over that. I bought one there, of course. Who wouldn't? But I guess a lot of people wouldn't because it's stuck on the shelf. But most other stores got it at like $40. Everybody else is trying to sell it for $40. And here's Walmart with I paid $19.99 when I bought it. And it obviously was not a mistake. It wasn't a pricing mistake because it's still over there for that low price. And they got the doggone Ezra Brooks bourbon cream for $9.50. I bought one. I put it in my coffee. I loved it. It's kind of like chocolate milk with bourbon. Really, yeah, that's what it tastes like. It's amazing. And those bourbon creams are dynamite. For $9.50, yeah, I'm tempted to go buy some more. They tried to sell it for $32.99 when it first came out. Ain't nobody bought it. I mean, I bet you they didn't sell one bottle because I certainly didn't buy it. I said, Ezra Brooks, are these people crazy? But then the price started going down. I think if they don't get rid of it in another month or two, they're going to sell it for $5. Because that's one thing about Walmart. They can't stand to see, and I think they means their algorithm. refrigerator. Still works. Their algorithm determines all that. I don't think anybody personally is doing that. It's just like an algorithm on their computer system, all centralized. And if it sees that it's not moving, then the price start dropping. It just generates the tags and they put it on the shelf. And then it'll just go to 5. I mean, the workers, they don't care. They probably don't even drink stuff. Or they might be putting out canned sausage. And yeah, they got canned sausage, believe it or not, Banner. They just put it on the shelf, you know. That's what they do. Here where I live, you can walk into the liquor department of any grocery store except for Walmart. They have their liquor locked behind glass. I've seen that in some towns, yes. You have to call the attendant to unlock it. Now, in Louisiana here, you're in a different part of Louisiana, but where I live here, it's open. You can just walk into the liquor section and get stuff off the shelf and then bring it to the counter and check out. True story. Now, there is a case, a big, I'd love to have that case, wood, real wood, not particle board, real wood glass case. They must have paid a fortune for that thing. And they have it locked in there. The stuff they figure people are going to try to steal, like Crown Royal, winter wheat, stuff that's expensive. Some cognacs and stuff like that. Yeah, it's locked. So you got to ask them and they'll unlock it. Glenlivet 12-year, Glenfiddich and all that's locked. But other stuff is just right on the shelf. If you go to Rouse's, most of the Rouse's, you can just get it off the shelf. But some of them is behind the counter. I guess they kind of study which neighborhoods is likely to walk, Okay, so that's it. The winner is as usual, the Black Bush. Bushmills. Is it the best Irish whiskey I have? Probably. Most likely, yeah. Yep. I think so. Even better than the Teelings small batch. Yeah, I think so. And boy, if I told you the price I paid for Teeling, you'd really think I was lying. But I paid that price. That's a true story. I don't know how they pulled that off, but I saw that price and I'm like, to me that seems low, but I didn't know much about Teeling. But I checked later on. I was like, oh, I got to go back there and buy it. I hope it's still there. They had some left. I was like, oh man. But the best deal I ever got on a discount was that Nikka from the barrel, the Japanese from Japan called Nikka from the barrel from Nikka Distillery. I was checking online. Everybody's selling it $75 or $80, but $75 usually. I bought it here for $9.99. Never get over that. Oh, was it good? Every time I would drink, I'll say, man, this stuff's so good. Mm-hmm. Don't ask me how they pulled that off. I don't know what happened there. I didn't ask questions. I brought it up to the counter and I checked out and I got out. And they had the Nikka, the yellow label, I don't know what it's called, like sunshine or something. They say it's made for drinking during the day. If you look at the website, they said this is a perfect whiskey to drink during the day. A day drinking whiskey, but it's funny, but that one runs about $40, $50, and it was $9.99. So I had to buy those two. Oh, that was a jewel also. It's so smooth. Not really like a challenging whiskey, but oh man, so well made. Oh, wow. All right. What will I run across next? I don't know. I don't need any more liquor. If you went in that other room, you see the room back in the background, and you saw that cabinet, that shelf, you'd be like, hey man, you need to get control. Don't buy any more liquor. I'm like, you right about that. All right, y'all take care now. Bye-bye, everybody.